Some of the best minds in the world bringing you some of the best knowledge on TRS Clips. Do you think the ancient human being also developed technologies that were just lost because of the Ice Age? Or that were just lost because of cataclysmic events like asteroids? Because we have Vimanas here. I am dead sure that you've had discoveries in Egypt where you've kind of had a moment where you're like, hold on, I think this is a little too technologically advanced for that time.
Yes.
Again, plastic deteriorates over 3,000 years. And for our civilization, that is one of the symbols of technological and scientific advancement. But what if those folks had developed their own kind of plastic which was biodegradable? What if they were ahead of us? We often have this arrogant viewpoint of ourselves as a 2022 civilization. It's 2022. This is the most scientifically advanced form of human beings. How do you know that? Time has been around for 2 lakh years and we only have documented history for about what, 5,000, 6,000 years? Maybe 10,000? So you don't even know what went on in the 1,90,000 years.
Yes.
And you have to kind of take a step back and view this whole human history story from a macro standpoint and ask yourself, did Atlantis exist? Did
Dwarka exist?
Did Dwarka exist? Was the Earth's geography and topography completely different?
Yes.
Which it was.
Yes.
Anyway, so what do you have to say about this, like in terms of technological advancement? Because you use the pyramids as an example. I'm sure your work has brought you to other aspects of technological advancement.
Yes. Now, all the other aspects that we talked about, the pyramids, fantastic. What if the pyramids were a power source?
What?
A battery.
Okay.
A huge battery. It's not me. It's about, I call upon every researcher who's there to, don't believe me, don't go by what I say, but go research, go look at things which could prove or disprove the thoughts that you have in your mind, and that's very important really. Because when we talk about batteries, a part of a battery was also discovered in Egypt. Scientifically, it is there.
Okay.
Yes. I invite every viewer or listener to go into depths about what this battery was, because again, it take up a lot of, the show.
No, like you've woken up the engineer in me, sir. So batteries in the modern day are basically, if I remember right, it's a cathode and an anode, positive and negative ions on one side. Without getting too technical.
Yes.
It's not that difficult to create a battery if you dive deep a little bit into science.
Yes.
You can actually create a battery out of potatoes.
But what science?
Salty water. Repeat the question.
But what science?
Okay, go on.
That's the most important thing, because even when we talk about the most advanced sciences today, we're just mimicking nature. Robots, artificial intelligence, when we talk about, it's our intelligence that is being mimicked. The neuron networks or ML or anything that we talked about, it's just mimicking of us.
But what was it? What was the device?
It was used like, to power certain other devices.
What did it look like?
It's a funnel like, it looks like a funnel. It's very crude, of course. It's fun. Of course, it has become crude over time. And it has a mouth, That's the reason why I said, like, to explain, probably like we could have superimpositions of those images on as we talk.
For sure.
So these are the things which were there then. Feels like a battery, looks like a battery, but is it a battery? That's something which we have to delve deep. So
did it have the same cathode, anode?
It could have had. With time, things have gone really, things which were in place, have been missing in place.
But what's the archaeological perspective of assuming that it's a battery?
Because it functions the same way a battery would.
As in it functioned when they found it?
No, of course, it has degraded, if you could call it that. But if it were restored to a version like which was workable, so it's something which can be made useful.
Sure.
Yeah. So there are many tools even, like, there are certain tools. You would wonder how would they make it like?
I got to dial back a little bit to the battery. Mm-hmm. Again, this is the engineer in me speaking, because when you're talking about a battery, you're basically talking about electricity.
Right.
And we talk about Edison discovering electricity quite recently in the human story.
Yes.
And here you're saying that possibly 2,000, 3,000 years back, they had electricity.
Yes.
The obvious usage of electricity is light.
Possibility.
Okay. Mm. What do you assume that it...
It could be for various, as we know, as electricity is just a start. It could be power as we know it today, or it could be power any other way. I'm now going on to, I'm really trying to balance myself so that I don't cross the science line.
Sure.
But it could be to power up certain other things, as we know today. Our ancestors were basically interested or aligned towards, if it is like really the mother culture or mother cultures, they were aligned towards devices which were more in line with nature. So if I was a scientist then, I would have devices which would look natural, but it would give you the functionality of what we have in plastic or metal today. So,
and if it was aligned with nature, it would have degraded over time.
Absolutely. It's a possibility. All these are possibilities. Yeah.
Which is why we've lost so much technology.
Absolutely. It is a very big possibility. I'm not saying yes. I'm not saying no. Let me be very, specific on that. But it's a possibility. Why can't we be, open to the fact that there could have been a possibility of such technologies really existing? I mean, if I were to make certain things which I have made in the last 2,000, 3,000 years in alignment with nature, I would make it very differently. I would make it something which was biodegradable, like how we are looking at plastic bags and, different other things. Why? Because we have that consciousness that we can't abuse. But if it is coming from a culture which has that as a religion, that you can't do this, so it would have technologies which will be aligned or intertwined with that philosophy. So it is so electricity is something which we know of, or which is a kind of power. It's the same like, as I was telling you, like whether let's say if you talked about 25 years ago about Bluetooth, or let's say the wireless, I mean, you would be scoffed at. And so what are you talking about? Like a file going from one place to another without any wires? You need to be joking. But it is a possibility today. It is research which is, or learning which has brought that into the visible world, if you could call it that. So is it not a possibility that nature-aligned technologies, technologies which were in line with nature could have existed and would have seen dust?
Yeah. I mean, one parallel way of looking at it is maybe the human beings of then also went on the same trajectory that we went on, developed things that actually harm nature, understood that, oh wait, this is harming nature, and then developed more and then developed more biodegradable alternatives.
Right.
I refuse to believe that scientific advancement has only happened in the last 200 years. 190,000 years is too long a time for human history. But the real question is, where was all this technology lost? I mean, okay, I'd probably rephrase that in saying that where was all this knowledge lost? Because they would have had instruction manuals, stored it somewhere. Could it have been cataclysmic events?
Now, this is wonderful here, because I would like to, and I'm not saying anything here, but it's a question again. In this episode, what I'll do rather is raise questions, because so that we can start thinking, because questions force you to think really.
Sure.
And this is the same thing which should apply to everything that we see today, whether it is herbs, spices. So there's the Dogon of Mali. In Mali, there's the Dogon tribe, which talk about Sirius. Sirius is a star again.
Okay.
So there are two brothers. So now they do a dance. I will not go into too much of details there, because we are trying to highlight something which you asked. There's a detailed dance. There's a ritual which they perform, wherein they do the exact going around of the star. There are two stars again. So one is a heavier star. So they call it, the name there is also specifically, it means the heaviest brother, or the heavier brother, So we have that, which is a dance. They also know like how, and it is a tribe which is cut off from, they have nothing. It's a very ancient ritual that they have. Now this dance is performed for certain rituals. There are certain occasions, traditional occasions, which it is performed. The most interesting thing about this is that this star cannot be seen by the naked eye.
So how did they know it's up there?
Absolutely. So could there be clues in what we do as rituals today? Could there be clues in the things that we do, like maybe we do a arti, or maybe we go to a particular temple. Temples are also called vimanas. I'll just not go into that. So again, like when we do certain things is there a hidden message there which is out there? I mean, to decipher, to decode, to de-evolve and evolve again?
Or did aliens come and tell us about these stars?
Now, these are all open questions. That's a possibility as well.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you check out the entire episode and also check out this playlist that we've curated just for you.